Here we begin with the topic force and pressure. Let us see what topics are to be discussed in this video. What is force and its unit? Force is a vector quantity. Resultant force and its direction. Effects of force. Types of forces. Contact force and non-contact force. Now, under contact force, muscular force, frictional force, and under non-contact force, electrostatic force, magnetic force, and gravitational force. Now, an action which may change the motion of a body or precisely push or pull on a body. You may see a boy here trying to push a door. Maybe he's trying to enter a restaurant. And in the second case, he's trying to pull the door. Maybe he's trying to exit from the restaurant. SI unit of force is Newton and CGS unit is dyne. A force can be expressed by the magnitude and direction in which it acts. That means a force is a vector quantity. As here, two class 8 boys can be seen trying to apply a force on the rope. Maybe they are playing tug of war and trying to pull the rope towards themselves. Whichever boy applies more force, the rope will go towards the boy and he will win. Now, resultant force. The net force acting on a body is actually the algebraic sum of the two forces, which means if the forces are towards each other, they get added up. And if they are opposite directions, they get subtracted. Also, the net force is directed towards the larger force. We see the example of a cart here. In the first case, the cart is being pulled with the force 60 Newton and 30 Newton in the same direction. Thus, the two forces gets added up. 60 plus 30 equals to 90 Newton towards both the forces. And in the second case, the cart is being pulled by 10 Newton and 30 Newton forces on either directions. Thus, the force gets subtracted and 30 minus 10, the resultant force is 20 Newton towards the larger force. Now let's see what effects force can bring. Force can change the motion of a body. That means it can bring the body at rest to motion, bring the body in motion to rest, change the direction of a moving body, also change the speed of a moving body, and it can also change the size and shape of a body. These examples given here will make this point clear. In the first case, we see a man trying to move a stationary landmark. That means he brings a body at rest to motion. In the second case, you see a footballer using force to change the direction of the motion of a ball. In the third case, the cyclist pedals the cycle with a greater force to increase its speed. That means it changes the speed of a moving body. And in the fourth case, a baker uses a force of his palm on a dough to shape it into a curry puff. Thus, he changes the shape of a body. Now, different types of forces. Contact force is a force which can be applied only when the two bodies are in contact with each other. Non-contact forces are the forces which can be applied without having a real contact with each other. Now, the examples of contact forces can be muscular force, frictional force, whereas the examples of non-contact forces can be magnetic force, electrostatic force, force of gravity, etc. Now, contact forces, in this slide, you just see two boys applying muscular force, the force of their muscles, and they are trying to push a box. Thus, muscular force need contact of the boys with the box. Second case is the motion of a box over a surface. Thus, there is a force of friction between the box and the surface. Thus, we can say that frictional force comes into existence only when there is a contact between the box and the surface. Third case is the case of a non-contact force or magnetic force. You see a U-shaped magnet attracting some iron nails from a distance. Thus, this force do not require any contact, but it attracts the iron nails. The next one is of the case of a comb, which you have often tried to rub on your head and tried to pick some bits of paper. This is a case of electrostatic force where the comb applies the force from a distance on the bits of paper and picks it up. And the last case is the force of gravity, where you see some apples or say balls, maybe anything, they are falling towards the earth or being attracted towards the earth from a distance. Thus, this is also an example of non-contact force.